All right, let's get right into it. You see it everywhere, right? Agent Tech AI, phones that are getting freakishly smart, cars that are basically your co-pilot. The AI revolution isn't on its way, it's already here. And it's all being powered by these massive, incredibly complex digital brains. But, like any brain, it needs fuel. And that fuel, a little component we've kind of taken for granted for years, is now at the very center of an economic boom that is truly historic.
So what is this hidden fuel? What's the one thing that every single AI system, from the biggest server in the cloud to the phone in your hand, is absolutely starving for?
Yep, the answer is memory. It's that simple, and it's that important. And look, we're not just talking about needing more memory. We're talking about a complete rewrite of the rules, where memory and storage are no longer just parts in a box. They're the central pillar holding up the entire AI ecosystem. And for companies like Micron, well, this shift has basically ignited an unprecedented gold rush. This quote right here, from Micron's own investor briefing, it just nails it. Memory has been recast as a defining strategic asset. I mean, just think about what that means. It's now as important as the AI models themselves. It's the very thing that allows AI to get smarter, to reason better, and it's what's going to dictate how fast all of this innovation can actually happen.
So, what does a record-breaking boom actually look like when you get down to the dollars and cents? Let's put some numbers on the board, because honestly, they're kind of mind-blowing.
So in just one fiscal quarter, Micron pulled in almost $24 billion in revenue. To put that into perspective for you, that's more than the entire yearly economic output of countries like Iceland. But it's the speed of this growth that really tells the story.
196%. That's the increase in revenue compared to the exact same quarter just 1 year before. Can you imagine a company nearly tripling its size in 12 months? This isn't just steady growth, this is a full-blown explosion. And it's all being driven by this insane demand for AI's hidden fuel.
And if you think that's wild, listen to this. The CEO, Sanjay Malhotra, said that their forecast for just 1 quarter is more money than the company made in any full year in its entire history before 2024. This isn't just a good year, this is a totally new era.
So where is all this memory actually going? I mean, who is buying it up at this incredible pace? Well, the answer is pretty much everyone, and for pretty much everything. Let's break it down.
You can see here the demand is spread all over the tech landscape. The cloud and data centers, the home of generative AI, that makes up over half the business right there. But look at mobile and client devices, also a huge slice. And that smallest piece, automotive and embedded, it's actually one of the fastest growing. This is a boom happening across the board.
But let's zero in on the biggest piece of that pie. The absolute epicenter of all this demand is the data center. And for the first time in history, data centers are on track to consume more than half, 50%, of the entire world's memory supply by 2026. They are the hungry, beating heart of the AI cloud.
And that brings us to this key piece of tech called HBM, or high bandwidth memory. Look, if a normal memory chip is like a little country road, HBM is like a massive multi-lane superhighway built right next to the processor. It lets these super powerful AI chips, like the ones from NVIDIA, grab huge amounts of data almost instantly. Without HBM, there is no large-scale AI. It is truly that simple.
But hey, this isn't just some abstract data center story. It's happening right on your desk and in your pocket. The new AI PCs, they need at least 32 gigs of memory. That's double the old standard. Those high-end AI workstations, they're shipping with 128 gigs. And on your phone, almost 80% of the top-tier smartphones now have 12 gigs of DRAM or more. A year ago, that number was just 20%.
And if you think that's a big jump, just check out what's happening with cars. A standard car, with some basic driver assist stuff, has about 16 gigabytes of DRAM. A level 4 autonomous vehicle, it needs over 300 gigabytes. That is not an increase, that is a leap to a whole different planet of demand, and it's going to be a huge driver for the future.
And if we look even further down the road, Micron sees robotics as the next massive 20-year growth cycle. Each one of these advanced AI-powered robots is basically going to be a data center on legs, needing just as much memory and storage as one of those high-end autonomous cars we were just talking about.
Okay, so all of this leads to one single gigantic problem. The world is demanding memory at a rate we have literally never seen before. So the question is, how do you build enough of it fast enough to keep this revolution from stalling out?
Here it is, the core challenge. Plain and simple. Demand is massively outstripping supply. And that goes for both DRAM, the fast memory that AIs use for thinking, and NAND, the storage they use for long-term knowledge. For the foreseeable future, there just isn't enough of either being made to meet what the world needs.
So what does the response to that problem look like? Well, it looks like this. A plan to spend over $25 billion on new factories in a single year. That is a bigger investment than the entire Apollo program was, adjusted for today's money. This isn't just expanding production, it's a colossal bet on the future of AI.
And this is what that bet looks like in the real world. These massive, almost city-sized semiconductor fabs being built all over the globe. These are some of the most complex, most expensive things humanity knows how to build, and companies are in an absolute race to get them up and running.
But here's the catch. You can't just snap your fingers and build one of these things. If you look at the timeline, new factories in Idaho and Singapore won't even start spitting out wafers until 2027 and 2028. We're talking about a multi-year international sprint just to try and catch up with this blistering pace of demand.
So let's bring it all home. We've clearly entered a brand new era, an era where that humble memory chip is no longer just some simple commodity, but a critical, absolutely strategic asset.
It's just like Micron says right here. Their products, and really memory in general, are at the very heart of this revolution. They are what allow AI models to remember, to learn, and get more and more capable with each passing day.
Which leaves us with one final, incredibly important question. We know how to build the brains of AI, the algorithms, the models. They're getting more powerful by the second. But can we build its memory fast enough to keep up? And what happens to the pace of this whole revolution if we can't? That is the multi-billion-dollar question that is going to define the next decade of technology.